All right. Well, we are extremely excited and grateful to be able to welcome on Adam Christ, Illinois' assistant coach, recruiting coordinator. Been doing it here in Champaign since the summer of 2015, which I kind of feel like we're connected here after talking to you a little bit. Like, that's exactly when I started at Prep Baseball. We've kind of been going down this journey together, and I've been lucky enough to have you as a resource, whether I see you out at games and we're just kind of shooting the breeze on players or whatever it may be. Hey, like, did you see this guy, Adam? Oh, did you see this guy? And kind of bouncing guys off each other. And then just learning a lot about how you go about your business, what you look for in players. So I've been extremely grateful to have the relationship with you, and just want to say thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be on, and thanks for having me. Yeah, we have kind of been on a journey together, and the winter phone calls of, "Hey, what have you seen? What have you heard?" They're always enjoyed.
Well, I love that because it brings me back to a lot of conversations, and a lot of it too, just like you making sure you're on some of the right guys. And I love it because you always bring up names or, maybe guys I haven't seen in a long time that make me kind of reevaluate or look at a guy again. So it's greatly appreciated. And hopefully I do that, to you as well.
Oh, you
Give you
do.
some names.
You guys
Yeah.
are great resources and appreciate what you do. And yeah, it's fun, especially back then when it was maybe you're recruiting a little younger kid than it
Yes.
is now. So it's a little bit different now as you're trying to go discover that guy and maybe get him committed. Now it's more discovery and see if you can hang on.
Yeah, I mean, is that something you want to talk about? Just how it's changed and impacted not just your, but every coach's life? I think the last year or two, a lot of coaches in the summertime haven't really been sure if they're even doing the right thing. Recruiting the right age, like doing the transfer portal thing, the JUCO thing, how many high school guys to commit. I mean, has it just been a learning curve, a work in progress here as you go?
Yeah, I think it definitely has. Do I think it's right? Yes. Do you let these kids mature and recruit them later? Absolutely. I think it's good for the kids. Um, for us personally at Illinois, sometimes we would get in there a little early on in-state guys that people out of state hadn't seen. So it kind of opens the floodgates on some of the players, being later on. But if it's good for the kid, it's a good thing anyways. Um, the biggest thing with the recruiting now is just the fact that you have a few different buckets to recruit from now. Before it used to be get a high school kid or a junior college kid. And now you look at it with the transfer portal, junior college, high school, post grad programs now. I mean, there is a lot of ways and a lot of different places to get players now that it wasn't in the past.
And with that, it was interesting. I was listening to a podcast that PBR Indiana did, Cooper Trinkle, and he had on the recruiting coordinator at Notre Dame. And I didn't really think about it from a Notre Dame, some of these higher academic programs. And Illinois, I think, kind of fits in there. Like, they basically can't get transfer portal guys because of the academic situation at Notre Dame. At Illinois, are you guys lucky enough to have the high academic standard, but yet still attack a transfer portal guy if you want to? That grad, that the when he has what that fifth year, that final year, I'm grad transfer. Like, are you kind of able to go down all those different buckets, or is Illinois a little limited in some capacities?
We are limited in some. We can go after the grad students, and the younger players in the transfer portal.
Okay,
When they get too far down their degree path, it's tougher to transfer in here
okay.
in terms of that. They're really not. Illinois is a great academic school, and they're going to hold the standards of getting an Illinois degree and not just coming in and taking 12 credits and getting an Illinois degree.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so for us, it's kind of the start a graduate program or a younger player that hasn't been that far in his academic career yet.
Okay. Um, One thing we're kind of just briefly chatting about that I wanted to ask you, but since you've been doing this in 2015, like, first off, maybe the some of the first commits or recruits you had that really stick out to you, and then just since you've been doing it, any ones you're really proud of, or any guys that maybe we're not the guy you offered, a huge amount of scholarship to, but they turned out to be extremely vital for the program, really improved somebody that you just were super, super proud of.
Yeah, I think first off, coming in the summer of 15, so some of the 16s and 17s were committed. Eric Snyder did a great job here. Spencer filling in for 9 months or whatever he made it here. They did a great job. The likes of Michael Massey, Ben Troike, some of those guys being committed, and then coming in here and being able to develop a relationship with them and keep them coming to the University of Illinois was great. But I think, Brennan Comia was one that was maybe a hotter player in Illinois in the PBR rankings and some of the pro case showcase stuff that he was doing. And to get him to stay in state is probably one of the bigger ones at the time.
He was a fan favorite of mine as well. So I'm glad you brought that name up. Like he was a guy that we brought to the future games as a year younger. He was an underclassman there and really showed out. I couldn't believe it. I think it might have been my first future games, either that or my second one. But I was just really struck with the amount of polish he had, like overall in the game, and then just the way he swung the bat, the amount of kind of jump off the barrel he would get for his size and things like that. And then to see what he kind of did at Illinois is always fun to watch. I mean, I feel like you guys have had a string of middle infielders,
Mhm.
high level middle infield. Is that something that's like really it's like something that you take a tremendous amount of pride in? Because I feel like every single guy can really defend, whether it's at shortstop, second base. I mean, I think of Cal Haja. Like
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite high school shortstops I've ever watched. As far as Christian Knapchak was up there, but
Yep.
as far as knowing the game and IQ and throwing behind runners and the deeks, and you could just watch him and just like this guy's as smart as a coach on the field is the way I always kind of was taken by him. Is that something that you're all like? Is that a sweet tooth for you? I think is what I was looking for.
It sure is. I mean, you go back to recruiting, you start in the middle of the field anyways. So you got to have people that can defend in the middle of the field. And yeah, shortstop, you got to be able to play defense. If you can pitch and play defense, you have a chance to win more games. Because there are going to be days you run into a buzzsaw and you just don't get your hit. But the one thing that can't slump is your defense. So you got to play a high level defense, and I think it's important to have a high level defender at shortstop. And that you look at last year, winning the Big Ten and having Brody Harding and Cal in the middle. They made a lot of plays, and it wins you games. So Cal is one of my favorite. He is such a favorite that he is finishing his degree and he is on the coaching staff as a
Oh,
student
look at
coach and
that!
helping. So he's made to coach.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Getting into just some things that are kind of new at Illinois. Like first off, I think as a staff, anybody around the state, anybody that's kind of tuned into the university, um, man, like things are kind of like double arrow up from what it seems like. You look at the football program, you look at what the basketball program's been now for a handful of years. Um, What's the excitement like at Illinois? Like, is something causing this? I mean, obviously the golf program has been long, one of the best golf
Yes.
programs in the country. I'm sure there's even other sports that I don't know about. But what's the secret sauce you guys got going?
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of buzz around Champaign-Urbana. I can tell you that much. With football, the season they had, basketball the last few years, golf every year, even women's basketball taking a step up, volleyball doing well. It all goes down to leadership, and all goes down to it's no different than your coaching staff. Who's in the building? And it starts with our athletic director, Josh Whitman, who is unbelievable guy and unbelievable leadership. And then it just flows down. And I think there's a sense of family. And I think there's a sense of hard work and winning's an expectation. I think that's the thing that has flipped the most is winning is an expectation. It's not something you want to do. You expect to win. So it's yeah, tailgates and the buzz around the football stadium this year and basketball. I was at the game yesterday and it was electric, and it's a great atmosphere. If you haven't been to a Illini hoops game, well
They got
worth it.
they got the Orange Crush down there, right? That's
The
what
Orange
the
Crush
student
is
section is.
rocking.
Yeah,
Yep,
nice.
yep.
Well, and they clearly have, I feel like, just been constantly investing. And I look at what you guys now have, at the baseball field and the indoor facility, and I kind of want to open it up to you. Like, when did that come about? How has it been since you've had it? How are you guys able to utilize it, and what are the benefits?
Yeah, I mean it's we've been in it now 2 years. Um, it was coming, it was coming. We hit a little COVID hiccup like everybody in the world did, and then we got it done after that. Everybody's got pitching machines, everybody's got a batting cage, but I think that it allows us to have a full infield. It allows us our netting system. They're all independent nets, so we can slice it any way we want it. There's ground ball machines, pitching machines, programmable pitching machines. I mean, barrel feeders where they can hit on their own, which brings me probably the biggest positive for us is that it's baseball only, 365 days a year, 24/7. Our
No,
guys
no
can go in there.
softballs jumping in there either. Just baseball, huh?
Softball has their own facility as well.
Look at this.
So
Okay.
that they're investing in the athletics, and it's awesome. It's great for softball. It's great for baseball. What it helps is we don't worry about class schedules as much anymore because we can go anytime we want. So that's a nice thing that they can continue to focus on their degree, and we don't have to harm that part of it when sometimes please hurry from class, all that good stuff. We have our own facility.
So you meant it's big enough to have a full infield. Like I want to kind of paint the picture for anybody out there that maybe doesn't know what you guys are working with. Big enough to have a full infield, but also have cages. Like it can guys be hitting and doing infield defense all at the same time.
All at the same time. You can have people hitting the cages. You could have a bullpen on the other side. Well, guys are live pitcher, hitter, catcher. You can slice it however you want it. There's a lot of things you can get done, and actually sometimes when we go out to our field, I don't feel as efficient.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot done in the indoor, and the way we program it that guys aren't standing around. Something's always happening.
One thing as you're talking, I'm just kind of sitting here thinking because you have artificial turf on the baseball field. Is
Correct.
it a similar turf? Like, can you tell a difference in the indoor turf versus the outdoor turf? Speed off the bat, even the foot speed, the softness of the turf, or is it pretty similar?
So it's the exact same turf as
Okay,
the outside, and now even we went as far as home plates in the same spot, the same
getting
direction
the same
as the
angle.
field. So everything is the same, but obviously our turf is fairly new outside,
Yeah,
so it still seems very, very similar.
I gotcha. No,
So,
that's
but
great. Yeah,
in
keep those reps consistent as possible, because those fields that have the artificial, natural grass, I guess, and the dirt, if they have an indoor facility, well, you're practicing on turf all winter and then going out to dirt. So just being
yeah,
able to have that same consistent feedback, I love to hear it.
everything the same. And I
Nice.
think the biggest thing that we overlook with the indoor is the fact that now that you have it, guys go there a lot. So now the culture has changed a little bit. They hang out together, and it's big enough. It's not like one or two batting cages. I mean, however many hitters you have can be hanging out in there at once, and everybody getting some work done. So I think the culture, the work ethic, the team camaraderie, they're real close knit guys.
Yeah.
So I think that has brought them together.
Well, that's great to hear, and I'm happy for you guys. And Gavin, I'm going to open up the
Yeah,
floor here, and I think you might have a question.
kind of going off of what Drew had mentioned about just the athletic department as a whole. Really, the basketball team's good. You guys just won the Big Ten championship last year. The football team's good. Like, how has that impacted your recruiting? And does it make these kids more excited to come to play for obviously a really good baseball program, but also get to go watch a good basketball team and good football program as well?
Yeah, I think it does. When you're at a bigger school where you can come and watch Big Ten football in the fall, or be around high level basketball, and have a chance to chance to win on the baseball field, I think that does affect it. It, I tell you what, it doesn't hurt it. So we continue to, and the Champaign-Urbana community is a big college town. So it's not stuck in a big city. So you look at it and they can come and the campus is supported by the community. So we hope that everything continues winning because it's an uptick for everybody in that.
Another thing I wanted to get into, this is more of like a scouting kind of like what you look for, but when you're out looking at a high school hitter specifically, what kind of gives you the confidence that they'll be able to hit at the college level?
That's a golden question right there. You guys do a good job of giving metrics. So, and that's all stuff that we take, and it's kind of like getting a resume sent to your desk. So, okay, this looks pretty good. Let's dig in. I think if you're at the field, I think some of the most important things to me here at the University of Illinois are keeping record when you're watching that game of swing and miss in the zone and chase rate. Because there's one thing that doesn't go down as you move up levels. If you're swinging and missing at 15, 16 years old a lot, it won't go down as you go up. So I think that, to me, the contact rate and the chase rate are very important stats to me watching a game. We can go out and you can see a lot of good players, a lot of good hand speed, bat speed, exit velo. But when it comes to the game, who can move the ball around the yard and do in a consistent basis? I think the other thing is afterwards is the intangibles. The motivation, the drive, their mindset. Is it aggressive? Is it growth mindset? Managing failure. How do they do that? And then ultimately the character of the kid as well. I think those are the important things to me. At the game is the contact rate and chase rate, and then digging in on those four things afterwards is kind of what I look at.
All right, so you bring up some really good points there that I think to inform these young men, these young athletes coming through Illinois, coming through the country, playing baseball, wanting to play at a high level. And I try to tell these players before events when we give our speech, but there's so much more to the game than just, hitting a double or, hitting 400 in the spring or, going 3 for 3 in a game. Like if Illinois comes and watches you, or if Prep Baseball reports at a game and comes and watches you, we know you're not going to go 4 for 4 all the time. Like you're going to struggle. It's part of the game. So you mentioned these things about character and, like these intangibles. But how can a player help themselves on the field to where you're going to notice and be like, yes, that's the kind of guy I want? Like, is it the motor in between innings? Is it the way they stretch? Is it the way they play catch? Is it the way they get down the line or the way they round the first base bag? Like, these are all things that I want kids to know, like, hey, this is what Coach Christ at Illinois is looking at. And when you run a 4.7 down the line, I don't care if you hit 400 on the spring. Like, you are hurting yourself.
You're 100% right. I think that's a big. How many times you've been to thousands of games and they're 0 for 1, fly out, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch.
Yeah.
Right?
They swung the bat 2 times.
You
Yeah.
leave there going, well, that was a great drive. But no, it really starts from getting there early. If you're at a single game, when they get out of the car or the bus, what do they look like? Are they carrying? Who's carrying their bag? Are they helping carry the team equipment stuff? How do they interact with their teammates? How do they stretch? Is it with a purpose? Do they play catch with a purpose? Because half the time, I challenge you. This is go to games now and get there for catch, and evaluate what team played catch better, and keep a percentage of how many win the game.
I love it.
Because I bet you it's 80%.
And I always come away from watching a game of catch, and I could almost 80% of the time probably tell you who the best players on that team are just by watching them play catch.
Yes,
Yeah.
just watch them play catch. And then you go into, what do they do before the game when there's downtime? I've seen infielders, obviously going back to my sweet spot of shortstops,
Yeah.
right?
Let's go.
Hey, there's downtime. They're waiting. They're out there doing picks on the warning track with their other infielder. Okay, he's got a little motor. He's got a work ethic. And then in between innings, are we just lobbing the ball, or am I playing shortstop? Am I in the deep hole trying to continue to get arm strength and build? And then, yeah, how you run the bases. That's a big thing. It's got to be hard all the time. I don't want to see someone turn it on and off. I want to see it on. For me, when you get a player, I'd rather pull them back a little bit than have to push them. So that motor's a big thing to see. When that game hits, what kind of motor do they have?
No, this is gold for me to hear you say all this because we are in the day and age of where the 10-second clips on social media,
Yeah.
everybody thinks that's gold and that's what's going to get them a scholarship. And like my whole thing is, and we do it too, we put out video spotlights on players. My whole thing is, hey, those can get you noticed, right? But like you go earn everything on the field. And to me, that's never changed. And honestly, I want to feel your opinion on this too, get your opinion, but I almost think it's never been more important to do the things right on the field because it's never been harder to get a Division 1 scholarship. So the intangible, there's a lot of good players and more so ever than ever that are fighting for these very, very limited spots. So I feel like now it might turn around a little bit to where the intangibles have become even more important.
And,
Um,
and I think they are. I think you're 100% right. And I still always go back to this. And on social media, emails, whatever little video clips, that's all a resume. Okay. And either as a company, as a program, you like that resume, you put it in one pile. You don't, you might put it in another pile. Or you have that position, hey, we can't do anything with this. Right. And then when if you get a phone call from them, okay, your game, that's all the interview. That's what's going to get you the job or get you the scholarship. So it's one thing to be really good at social media and some video clips and all that, but that is just one small part of it. And the ultimate selling point is how you play the game and then how you talk on the phone and what kind of kid you are. So I think we need to. Some kids need to focus more on the interview portion than the resume portion, and they'll keep getting better.
and to the parents out there, like, quit holding your kid's hand at a certain point. Right? Like there's a certain point where you need to let go. Your kid needs to learn, hey, this is time for me to prepare myself for that job interview and be able to talk to a grown up and hold a conversation and to be respectful and to shake a hand and to look somebody in the eye. So I think that's part of why we're doing what we're doing here, Adam, is to educate, is to inform, to bring guys on like you that can, I mean, who else do you want to hear it from? They just won the Big Ten. They just won the Big Ten regular season. Like, I don't know. I can't say it enough. I can't hear it enough, and I love to hear it from you. So.
Well, I appreciate it, and I think you're right on the parents are there for guidance, guide them, but don't do it. Guide them, give them guidance. Let's educate. We're educators here as coaches. Okay, even in life, we have them for 4 or 5 years. Heck, you never know. Some rulings we might have them for 8 now, but we won't get into that. Um, but we're here to educate, not only in baseball, not only to hit, catch, throw, but just throughout. Hey, decision making, time management. We're here to educate. Parents educate and let them go. Let the leash go.
Yes.
Instead of when you're walking your dog with that fixed leash, get the expandable leash. Let them go a little farther. They won't fail, I promise. You still got them on the leash.
Love
Just,
the analogy
just
there.
let them go
Yeah.
here. Let them have a conversation and build those skills.
And by no means am I saying it's easy, right? Like as a
No.
parent, I mean, I never want to, have my kid suffer or, he's 6 years old and when he's sick, I feel terrible. But it's something that I'll have to learn someday. And hopefully some parents out there will learn as well. But Tyler, I know you wanted to jump in. You got some hard-hitting questions over here.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit, right? You guys won the Big Ten regular season last year, but we might have buried the lead a little bit. You guys set a program record last season with 104 home runs. So, Coach, I just wanted to ask, what went into that power surge? Is it, maybe something as simple as like, hey, it was just a product of the guys you guys had in the lineup last year that were maybe more power centric, or was it maybe just a change in overall offensive philosophy going into last season?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that go into this. Number one, yes, who we had in the lineup. I think that always plays a part. I always look at each fall as being a new year. Okay, you might not. This year is probably going to be a different year than last year. Okay, sometimes you run your way to second base, sometimes you hit your way to second base. We might have to run our way to second base more than we hit our way this year. We do have some good thump left in the lineup, but we also have went up on team speed. So I think we'll be able to create more offense. It kind of goes back to my hitting philosophy a little bit first. And again, getting them for 4 years is the best thing you can do. I always think, and you go back to the contact rate and the chase rate. Okay, so I just that's my steering wheel. If they have a steering wheel, we'll build the engine. We have a really good strength and conditioning program. Coach Henry is unreal here. So I have no doubt that the engines will be built here and the power will come. But if we can't make consistent contact, we don't have to worry. We're gonna hit one every once in a while. So I think it goes back to being able to have a higher contact rate and build that engine through strength and conditioning, through natural maturity. I mean, you look at pro ball and the scouts, what do they talk about? The last thing that comes, power, right? So you continue to develop that, and all of a sudden you start having older guys that, next thing you know, you set a program record. So to me, it's important that you don't try and do that from day one. And that was never our goal, is to set a program record in home runs. And it never will be our goal. I think it'll just happen if the process is right.
So Tyler, you may have a follow up off of this, and if you do, feel free to speak up. But I definitely had a follow up. Your high school classes in general now, I think across the D1 landscape, the Power Four are probably smaller than they've been in the past. So I feel like before you'd be able to dream on a guy. Hey, I love the upside. I love the frame. I love the way he runs. I think he just needs to get stronger. We can build the hit tool. You mentioned building strength when they get to Illinois, and I think the reason I asked this question is I have been kind of just yelling from the rooftops, hey, high school guys, you need to get as strong as you can get. Like, if you want to compete at the college level, like, you need to physically get your body ready. Like, how do you look at that today with looking at a high school prospect that maybe isn't as physically mature? Is that going to scare you as much, or do you have that much belief in the strength and conditioning in Illinois that's something you can build quickly? Is there a certain level they have to be at? Or is it more you're looking at, hey, this is how this swing works. This is the foundation. And if it's 20 pounds here, like, I'm still going to take a chance on this guy. Or, man, they got to be ready to impact the team right away. And it may depend. I know that's kind of a loaded question. But once again, just trying to help these high school guys, like, how important is that strength?
Strength is really important. I think what gets overlooked is flexibility and mobility and flexible strength. And I think that's missed in some high school weight programs, is how mobile can you be. So yes, overall, yes, strength 100% important. I think if the swing works, if there's a pretty good base, the direction's good, they're swinging at the right pitches, and you're like, man, this kid can run a little bit, he can do this. Hey, 10 to 15 pounds, we're not afraid to take that.
Okay.
And develop that. Again, it's going to go back into your roster management. What do you have in front of him? What do you have? What else do you have coming in? So it goes back to recruiting a little bit too. There's kids you don't recruit that could play here,
Yes.
but you just don't have that spot right now.
Yes.
So
And that's a great. I don't know if kids realize that. Like, hey, we've recruited 5 shortstops in the
yeah,
25 class. Like, talent wise, we'd love to take you, but we're kind
yeah,
of loaded here. And I think that's where players don't realize too. Like, you may be tight with another Big Ten assistant coach where it's like, hey, I just saw this guy. We can't take him, but you guys may want to give a look at this guy. Like the word of mouth, just the fact that it is kind of a small, close knit community, and kids don't realize that like they think because Illinois doesn't recruit them, they're not good enough to play there, and that may just not be the case.
Yeah, that's not the case, and now even with the limited rosters, there's going to be more of it, and it's you know you're going to need your arms,
Absolutely,
right? So
always.
those you're going to need those, and the kid might be good enough, and he might be a kid. Yeah, you dream on. You're like, yeah, by a sophomore year, junior year, he's going to be rolling, but we just don't have that spot right now.
Yeah.
So because we have to go get a catcher,
Yep.
or we can't take that shortstop. We got to get a catcher. So, by all means, that I think that's the one thing with parents don't understand sometimes is that we just can't do anything with it. Great player, love him,
Yeah.
but we can't do anything right now.
Even if, let's just say, you are loaded with right-handed hitters and you're one
Right.
guy in this class, it has to be a lefty. Like, I have
Yep.
to balance out the lineup.
Yep.
And you may really want the guy, but it just doesn't fit with that lineup you're trying to build.
Yeah.
There's so many factors. I bring that up, but so many different factors that go into building a team like you're trying to do. And one that will sustain success, not just for this year, but to build off of it for years to come.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
I mean that's huge. It's just kind of you got to be able to build success, and with that is just build your roster. And
Gavin, I think
Yeah.
you might want to jump in here. Sorry if we
Yeah.
steered away, but
No, you're good.
all right.
You might have already answered this talking about the strength and mobility, but for a freshman coming in, playing at Illinois, playing in the Big Ten, for you guys, what is some of your key areas? What are some of your key areas of development for a freshman to get them ready and transition them from high school baseball to Illinois playing in the Big Ten?
I think that goes if you recruited the right guy, they should have the skill set to play. So to me, it's the brain. It's the mental side of it. Okay, now how are they handling all the time management stuff? Going to class, tutors, practice, weights, and then how are they handling failure? Because when you get here in the fall, there's going to be failure in baseball all the time. How are they handling that? Are they showing up? Do they have a work ethic? Do they have a way to a routine to get them through it? To me, it's not as much physically as developing routines and a mental approach to winning each day. Okay, we can't look at you can't, as a freshman, you can't go and say, hey, I got to win that starting spot, right? Yeah, that's the end goal. But how are we going to do that? Let's focus more on process than we do our end goal because we don't control that. Coach Hartlove controls if you start. You don't control it. So we're going to control our process and what we do every single day. We only get 24 hours a day. How are we going to use those? So that I think that's the biggest thing with freshmen, heck, even some of the older guys, is what are we doing each day to be a little bit better to win that day? And I don't care if you're going to win in the classroom, you're going to win in practice. You just got to commit to winning each day.
I think that's awesome, and I actually think that with a lot of times when we see these high school kids, I feel like they don't really understand that, and hearing that from you is definitely something that I hope they take into account with, if they're a freshman in high school, not even thinking about college. But Pete, I see you've got a question. I don't know if you want to hop in here.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up philosophy not long ago, Adam. The game's changing a lot, right? In multiple ways. Has your philosophy or Illinois' philosophy changed at all with the game, how it's kind of evolving?
Yeah, I think I don't know that it's changed a ton. Yeah, is the home run prevalent? Absolutely, it is, right? But the one thing I always go back to, putting the ball in play is still always going to be really important. So, philosophy in terms of overall program, you still have to pitch and play really good defense to keep you in every single game. Okay? And then you got to be able to create offense. And that goes down to what personnel you have. And for us, it might be different personnel each year. Last year we hit some homers. This year, you never know. You might find us running a little bit more. So it depends on where you end up. Philosophy of the game, though, it is still to take the ball, swing at the strikes. Take the white thing on the mound and throw it over the white thing. Right? Keep it simple, and then you'll find yourself, if you can do that more consistently, you'll find yourself top of the standings.
Changing tunes just a little bit, but keeping it Big Ten centric here. The Big Ten has totally changed. Adding those West Coast schools, like what will that do with you guys, with travel, with schedule? Like, what are the impacts there for you, just right out of the top?
Well, here's the nice thing. We're in the middle.
That does
We
help.
can go both directions.
Yes.
Right? So that, first off, we're in the middle. Secondly, I love it. It makes us a deeper conference overall and in all sports, not just baseball. It makes us deeper in all sports. Plus, the other benefit is, don't forget, some kids may never see that part of the country. So now they get to travel there in college and get to experience a different state or a different area that they might not go. So I love it. I mean, the 4 teams out west that we added are really good baseball teams. So it's exciting for the conference. Anytime you can make a conference deeper, better off you are.
Well, and I guess with that, is the RPI still playing as big of a role as it always has? Are they changing that at all? Because I know in years past, trying to make the postseason, like a huge part of your schedule is all looking at that RPI.
The RPI is still a big thing.
Okay.
And I think everything is ever changing, just like the NCAA rules. I think in a month maybe it's something different, but it plays a big factor in it. And with adding good teams that play other good teams, the league RPI will go up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about your schedule, the league, the RPI, like, do you have any big spring trips you're excited about? Any new this year? Is it the same old, or what do you got going?
No, we got weekend 3. I think a lot of people are excited for. A lot of scouts are excited for because we go to Vegas for a tournament.
Okay.
So everybody will go there. You got Texas Tech, and Washington there. I think it was scheduled before Washington was in the league.
Yeah.
So we get a little non-conference game against them.
Okay.
So that'll be something different. In the minor league park out there. So I have not been out there, but first 2 weekends go down into Texas and play Abilene Christian, which is a really good school, and then play Texas State, who always is a good school. So
I was gonna say a couple of years ago they were one of the top mid majors in the country. I felt like had a
Yeah.
whole bunch of arms throwing mid-90s plus.
Yep. So we're gonna tie the cleats on tight. But,
All right.
and that goes back to getting yourself ready for a conference season. We like to go play anywhere.
Yeah.
So we'll be ready to go.
And in warm weather too. It sounds like Vegas, Texas. You're going to some good spots. Should get
It
some
is.
warm
Yeah,
weather.
that can't hurt. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, Tyler, I think you shot a note in here about the X. Do you want to ask that question? Phrase it how you want.
Yeah, we obviously, just being in the industry we are, with parents and recruiting, a big topic is, coaches following kids, on X. For you guys, is that just, a way to follow kids? Maybe a way to, hey, these guys are on our list. Maybe it's the younger kids, right? The 27s, the 28s, guys you guys can't technically talk to yet. Is it just as simple as that? Hey, we just want these guys on our follow list. It's an easy way for you to just keep track of what these guys are maybe doing in the spring and summer.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to keep track of people because it comes up on your feed easier. Personally, when I follow somebody, there was some kind of interest. I don't know to what extent that's going to be. It was enough to be like, okay, let's see what else we got, or I'll dig in on their X profile and kind of see what else is in there. But I do think it goes back to when we were talking about it's all part of your resume. I'm trying to gain information. Um, and personally, I do like direct messages. Obviously, some of the young kids you can't respond to, but it keeps a clean log for me of okay, remember his video, that kind of stuff. So I do like direct messages. Sometimes when you get tagged in them, it can get a little out of control with some things on the X, but I do like the direct messages from recruits just to kind of keep it a little cleaner.
Well,
Tyler, I
that
may be
was
stealing your follow up. Go ahead. Are you going to ask about like tagging a whole bunch of schools? Because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
one question I had, Adam. Is like, is it a turnoff if 26, with a good swing, is tagging you, but they're tagging 47 other schools? Like, do you lose that personal touch with that?
I will tell you this, when he sends a direct message with the same thing versus when he tags all the school, it will have different meaning. It most definitely will have different meaning. And I know I'm not naive. They're direct messaging, 100 other ones too, but at least I don't see it. Then I won't believe it in my brain. So no, it is. I mean, when they put it to every school, it's like okay, he's fishing.
Yeah.
He has
And
no direct interest in the University of Illinois. He's trying to find a spot.
yes. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I view it too when I see those come out. And Tyler, if you had a follow up, sorry if I stole your thunder there.
No, you're good, Coach. I do have one more follow up with this. We talked a little bit about parents kind of letting their kids off the leash as they get older. When I was in high school trying to get recruited, something I did was personally email coaches.
Mhm.
Is that something you still find value in, or is it easier for you? Hey, if they're just DMing me on X, it's an easier filtration process, or would you recommend kids potentially emailing you with a personal email and some video?
I still like the personal email. That might be different than people, but I still like it, and I have a folder system to keep track of the emails and the videos. And obviously, if they're younger, I'll file them and wait. If they're of age to recruit, then it can go a couple different ways there in terms of next steps. But I think the biggest thing for parents sometimes when the email, great thing is their spring schedule, midway update, summer schedule, midway update. That way, when we're running around different places, you can be like, oh, yeah, I remember this kid. I like this kid. I'm going to be in the area. There's a schedule. Yeah, I'll check with his coach, make sure, or him that he's there. But it just gives me a way to maybe see a couple more people when I'm in that area.
I had a random question. What do you guys like for summer ball? Do you guys have like a philosophy for that? Like stay close or get them in the best league possible? Because I know with the transfer portal, like you obviously don't want your guys to get poached, right? And I know some schools have to like they deal with that. So do you have like a league that you really like try and send your guys to, or what do you guys do for that?
I don't think we have one league we send them to. Obviously, the Northwoods League is right around here. And if the guys want to, we try to keep them around here. Parents can still go see them play in the summer. The biggest thing is to find them a spot where they can be successful and get the at bats or the innings they need. Take away the league name and put them somewhere where they can continue on their development program. That's more important. The poaching, that kind of stuff, I'm just not worried about it because you can be anywhere in the country and get poached or taken. So to me, if you build a relationship with a kid and he leaves, it's part of it. So be it. Do I like it? Not one bit, right? But you're not going to change it if you're in League Y or League X. So it's just one of those things. Be good with your players and build good relationships with them. It still ultimately might not matter, but at the same time, do everything you can to give that kid a positive experience. But yeah, I'm not worried about the poaching. It will happen, yes, but at the same time, worry about their development worry about them continuing their life versus what could happen.
Well, outstanding stuff, and you've always been awesome to me and to just our staff and to what we do here. And I'm very thankful to have the relationship that I have with you and to be able to get you onto the podcast and spread some of this knowledge. I thought it was outstanding stuff. So thank you so much, Coach. If anybody else has a question, I would say speak up now or forever hold your peace. And really appreciate you jumping on, and we're looking forward to following and seeing what you guys can do this spring.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. You guys, I don't think kids understand how much you guys really do for them.
We
You
try.
know, that is just and when people ask, there's probably not a day that goes by that I don't look at some sort of PBR something. And it's the best way for a kid to get information out there. So you guys do a good job. I give you some crap once in a while, Drew, boots on the ground, but it's all fun. And our boy
I'm sure I
Mazzacano,
deserve it.
looks good on the mound, man.
Well, I can't wait to see. You got a lot of guys coming in that I'm interested in, so I wasn't gonna, call you out on the podcast to hear about some of these guys, but I'm definitely curious. So Braden's one of them, and there's plenty of others. And no, and any crap I'm getting from you, I deserve it, and hopefully I'm giving it back. So, no, thanks again, Coach, and I can't wait to see you out this summer.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.